Hello there, me again, Earthmanbrick. Right, and doing a little something different today. We're looking at another video game thing, and I've got these old bases that I did. These are basically like they're the equivalent of like a terrain-made flight stand, and there's a nice big thick piece of wire coming out of this base here that we've made, and it protrudes on. Separate video on this if you're interested in making, aquatic bases, and you can see the same little bit of wire there protruding out so that we can stick on some fish creature on there. And I thought, right, well, there's a new challenge that's come up in honor of the release, or rather the announcement of Subnautica 2. Subnautica is like a Minecraft style game where it's a free open world survival experience, and in that experience you have to sort of your biggest constraint. There are other constraining factors like hunger and thirst, which you have to maintain, but the biggest constraint is to moving around and gaining resources and exploring the world is oxygen. You'll hear it constantly throughout the game. Oxygen, oxygen, oxygen. And you'll just hear that, and you just kind of, switch off from it eventually. But you sort of dive around, and you've got like 2 minutes of oxygen, so you go down, gather as much resources, come back up for air, and rinse and repeat until you get vehicles or a base, outposts at various locations and things where you can sort of then explore the immediate periphery. It's great fun. It's a wonderful game, and the sequel's just been announced. And in honor of that, there's a whole bunch of trailers. I'll play one at some point. And we've also got this challenge, a fan art challenge. And you can see this big outline here because there's in the game, it's set on an alien world, and there's all these great weird fish species and plant species and the such like, and there's also giant enormous fish that are called Leviathans. And this one is to create a Leviathan called a DeepWing Brooder, right? And the idea is that we've just got this outline, and that you've just got to sort of do it, and it gives you all the sort of how to enter and all whatnot. So you realistically only have like 2 weeks from the date it was announced, which was the 2nd of May, and the final closing date is the 12th of May, so it's less than 2 weeks. So not a whole lot of time to go all out with it, but I thought I'd give it a go. And I think they're all expecting 2D drawings. It just says that you can't choose AI and everything, but it doesn't say you can't do a sculpt. So that's what I'm doing. And I've already using, materials such as card. I'll just show it here. So I just used a sort of typical method, which is to fold the card in half, a nice big square of card. Trace the general shape based on what we've got. So it's going to have a big wing, little wing, and then it's going to have a bit of a tail, and then a long tail there. And just using the symmetry of that, just cut around it like so. So there's our little fin, and there's our bigger fins. Just keep cutting around till we get our general shape, and then fold it out, and then you get something like this, and that's a kind of a building block to start off with. And then just using off-bit cuts of card, and just go and build up the shape ever so slightly more to add reinforcement and whatnot. And then what I've also gone and done is I've added, boom, this is the foam that I found out in the street. You can buy craft foam that's the exact same material in places like Hobbycraft and online, and then you just, chop it up and glue it on. And I've also gone and used a new medium for the first time. It's this. It's too big to show, but it's essentially foam clay from BOHS. There's a whole bunch of other brands and stuff that do foam clay, but this is my first time using it. And the whole idea of using these materials, like the foam, card, and foam clay, is that they're incredibly light. So it's not going to be, overly heavy. Because if I were to use milliput or other sort of heavier grade materials, the whole thing would just kind of flop forward, fall on its ass, and wouldn't be much use to anyone. So, you can weigh down the base with like old bolts and screws, that type of thing. Usually find or have a lot of leftovers from various other builds and projects. And you can weigh down the base that way, but I wanted to try something new. And then what I've gone and done is I've just added on a whole bunch of rhinestones. So this was like the foam, the sort of black foam, and then I've covered it all with the foam clay, and it's a nice elasticated material. It is naturally adhesive as well, and rhinestones on the top there for the eyes. So I've gone and made this up, and then it'll be a case of skewering it on here, and and hopefully it'll fit the silhouette. If not, I'll use a little bit of I don't know, it's like some art software or whatever. I'll use that to sort of, bend and manipulate the various shapes around so it fits the overall thing. Skewer this on, and it will skewer on very nicely. Healthy bit of super glue, but I'm going to get to painting this up for our competition. So, bye for now. See you again soon. Hello again, and we're back. And here it is. It's all just glued onto the stand here. And yeah, all I've done is I've just hit it up with the underside because I thought the top actually looks pretty darn cool. I like the subtle notes of the eyes there. Or, I don't know, they could just be... with a lot of these creatures, it kind of is whatever you want it to be. It's an alien world and whatnot. And then we've got the blue underside there. I thought, oh, that works, just to color that in. And then I thought I'd paint the I think, is it the dorsal fin they call it? I thought I'd paint that a nice, healthy pink color, just to match with the eyes. And then it's a minimalist perspective. And my rationale is that because this is a deep dwelling Lethiathan, it's mainly white, so that because of the lack of light that it's subject to, it would be practically albino. So the lack of pigmentation on the top side would make sense, and then the bottom side would be the blue would be to represent most of the ocean and stuff. So it would be undetected to predators, and then I don't know. I'm not a marine biologist, but I just thought, it generally makes sense. But yeah, there's our what is it called again? DeepWing Brooder Leviathan. So yeah, I imagine that this one is no threat at all. It's relatively passive, or rather defensive, in that if you attack it, then it will hit you with this part, which is rock hard, and yeah, you'll pretty much regret it. But aside from that, it doesn't really have any major defense mechanism. The whole thing just kind of is relatively passive and just goes by. What it feeds on, I don't know. I'm not that deep. But yeah, that's our little go at our DeepWing Brooder Leviathan. Whale noises. But yeah, anyway, I'll stick on a trailer just for Subnautica here. But that's all I've got for you. So, thanks again for watching, and bye.